Welcome back, everybody. Here, Robert Smith again with another video to come out and look at. And this one we're going to do is the new Hazmat Solid. I have not thrown the original Hazmat, so to me this is a brand new ball. Looking at the numbers, strength of shell, all that stuff, it looks to me like a kind of a bigger Game Breaker 5, a little more aggressive shell, a little bit beefier core too, for sure, especially with that 0.55 diff in this thing. Pretty crazy. I am a big fan of the solids and the hybrids that do not have the HK22. If you saw my previous video and you saw my Scorpion low flares, those are one of my favorite bowling balls out there. Doesn't have the HK22, so it seems to be a little tamer, a little responsive. So what I'm assuming out of these, based against those two bowling balls, I'm expecting something that's going to be a little bit earlier and definitely a little bit smoother coming out of the back end. Been finding a couple layouts that I've been liking a lot. If you saw the previous video, of course, with the Scorpion Strike, you saw that I had two different layouts. The Hazmats I have down here have the same exact layouts that I put in those Scorpion Strikes, so there is nothing different amongst what those two did. For those that don't remember, my axis point is 4 7/8 over, 5/8 up. This ball here had a 80 by 3 3/8 by 45. This one here is a 65 by 5 by 30. So of course, the taller core is going to tumble down the lane a little easier, probably not be as responsive. This one here with the core over in a much stronger spot, I expect this ball to pretty much hook at my foot and then hopefully still have enough response on it. This is a house shot, so of course, all bets are off on a house shot and what ball does what. But in a nutshell, these are the two layouts I've really come to kind of like over the last month or two. And they give me enough variety, especially distance-wise. So I feel like I've got a good bounce back and forth on these two layouts to where I don't feel like I'm missing anything crazy. So with that being said, we're going to throw the strong one on the Hazmat. These are all out of the box. I have not thrown a shot yet with these. Just like anything else, it's a one try, go get them. This one here I expect to hook pretty early. Give it a couple shots to tame off because the shell is original on this, so this thing's probably going to hook at my foot for a couple frames. But we'll take a look and see what the differences are on this Hazmat Solid. Ooh, that thing read. That thing read the lane quick. That thing was so quick through the oil line because that was actually kind of in too. I mean, that ball didn't even try to push too far down the oil line. It just grabbed and went. Oh yeah, and if you can see the footprint on these things. Yeah, it's got a pretty wide footprint, definitely much bigger than the Scorpion Strike. So again, would assume that this ball is definitely designed to hook up a lot sooner than the other ones. There we go. That's what I was kind of waiting for. Usually that second shot calms down a lot after the first one for sure. But you can see it's kind of doing what I expected to do. It's revving up early. It's reading early. And again, I didn't expect a lot of back end out of this ball just because it's a solid with a very big core in it. So I don't expect it to hook at that much on the back end. Yeah, that thing's calming down now pretty good. Figured that much. It's going to take a couple shots to get it to calm down for sure. Yeah, from the other equipment that I've thrown, this ball feels like a Game Breaker. It definitely looks sooner, feels bigger than it, but just the overall shape where it's early and tame. This is a nice ball, probably definitely for more of the fresh lanes, heavy oil in the front, trying to keep the back ends under control. I kind of like this move a lot with this ball so far. Oh yeah. Yeah, you can see it got to that dry and then it just kind of stood up and went. So Not the biggest back bend ball, but tell you what, if I know I can throw it and it won't over jump on me, that's a bonus, because usually my biggest problem is my ball speed gets in the way. So I never seem to be able to get the ball to read in the pattern enough. This ball doesn't feel like it's going to be a problem to ever get it to read in the pattern. House shots help, but feels pretty good so far. Oh, and then like on cue, get it to the dry quick and it takes off. So, but that ball's got some teeth in it. It rolls up heavy. Pretty good back end motion, especially for this layout. I'm not looking for a lot of back end motion, but it does read early, which is what I wanted it to do for sure. Yeah, we'll throw a hook at this. Very tame. Very early on that. That's nice. That is nice. All right, let me see if I can get lined up with this a couple more shots, and then we'll take a look at the 5-inch pin one and see what the differences are. If I get my ball back, which I may not. So while we're killing time, I'd like to thank my sponsors. Hammer Bowling, of course. I Am Bowling and Vice Inserts. Again, thank you to all those guys there for the sponsorship and the help on all this. Much appreciated, and it's been a lot of fun still coming back into this. Definitely has been fun. So, that ball should be back any minute, but you know, big thing what I'm looking for out of these is predictability down lane. You know, certain bowling balls are meant to do certain things. You know, the biggest thing that I find with the pro shop is that people will come in, want this ball to have a huge giant back end, and they bring in a ball that wants to hook at their foot and will be lazy. You know, make sure you're looking at the ball that you're trying to get the shape on. Layouts will help enhance, but layouts aren't the telltale of everything. It's really the shell and the core. I mean, those things override most of what a ball shape does. It's just the layout just enhances it a little bit, and we'll see the difference in these two here, of course. So, all right, let's go ahead and make our move on this. Yeah, that ball definitely got some teeth in it. I'm definitely liking these 3 3/8 layouts, 3-inch pins. I used to be petrified of them because they would flare out so much the ball wouldn't do much. But I guess with the way the shells and the cores work now, I guess these really strong layouts, I think they only manipulate really distance. They don't do much else on that. So again, I'm learning all this stuff on the fly still. I've been outside of this game so long, and what I remembered 15 years ago is not the same now by any stretch. So, all right, one more shot with this guy, and then we'll switch. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Pretty nice. That ball's going to have a spot in my bag for sure. For sure. So, all right, so that was the 3 3/8 pin. Now we're going to move over to the 5. And of course, like anything else, we expect this ball to be a little taller. Not as much back end, but you never know until you throw it. Got to make sure we get all the stickers off. Yeah, so there's 30. I'm going to assume that I'm probably going to end up standing a little bit left of where I was on the other one, just because I think the shell's going to get it to pick up early enough. But the core, we're going to see what it offers on the back end. And like anything else, we need to wait a couple shots to get this thing to calm down. Did a little more than I was expecting, but that's kind of what I was expecting. It did have a little more length to it, but oh boy, when it grabbed, it went. Let's take a look at the flare on. Oh yeah, look at this. Those flare rings are much bigger, much bigger than the stronger 3 3/8. So footprint's just as big, but boy, these flare rings are a mile apart, and I'm almost back into the thumb. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I'm almost back into it. Luckily, I run out of lane. All right, we'll stay in the same spot, see if I can make this on the inside of it. Oh no. Wow. That hooked more than the first one I threw. That's a little scary. That thing's got some teeth. You get a little flare going with this thing, and this thing will move. For being a symmetrical, this thing's got a little pop on it. I may have to go drill up the original Hazmat to see what this does, because this has got some bounce to it. That's 5 left of the other one. And that ball's coming back around the corner all day. That's not even messing around. So, oh boy. This will be a fun one if I can get in and just chuck it into the dry. Yeah, again, I mean, the flares are, these things are massive. Oh, and I think I rumbled over the, did I rumble over the thumb on the back flare? That's not good. I might bust in it. I might. Yeah. The one thing with symmetricals is that they're consistent on their flare, so they're not going to stop like an ASIM does. Once an ASIM gets past its PSA, it'll slow down. Symmetricals won't. Oh God. I threw that right into the smoke, and that thing grabbed and flew on me. I may have to knock the shell off of this one. This one is just, wow, that's a lot of teeth in this ball. Again, I mean, like typical hammer fashion, you know, you bring out some stuff that hooks a ton, and for the price point, this thing's pretty, it's a good price point for how aggressive this is. All right, I was standing 34, I still went face. I'm gonna go to 41 and slow it down just a touch and see if I can get this ball to stop going left on me. I don't think I've ever been able to throw a ball where I could just hook the whole lane and not even try to make it grab. This thing is responsive, really responsive. I mean, if you think about it, it's the Semtech Solid. There's no HK22 in this thing, so it loses its response, you would think, but I don't see it right now. This thing is motoring. Let's try that same shot again at 41 and a little slower. Sanded solid should not recover that much on the back end, and that thing is. So that ball's interesting. That ball's got a lot more teeth than I was expecting. I would rank this up there almost with like the Extreme Envy. That shell, I mean, this thing has got some teeth in it in the front. This thing is not missing anything going through the front at all. Definitely a little, there's a lot of ball for whatever it is. All those spares I shot on the senior tour because I couldn't strike, I got pretty decent at them finally. So, in a nutshell, compared to the previous release with the Scorpion Strike and now with this one with the Hazmat Solid, The two releases that came out from Hammer, we needed some symmetricals. Ain't gonna lie, these two symmetricals are so far apart from each other, it's brilliant. I mean, there's two totally different shapes in these things, especially the length and the distance. I'm telling you, if you need a bow that's a little less expensive, but you want to make sure it digs in the oil and gets around, this Hazmat Solid is, I think got what it takes. It's just not supposed to hook that much. Oh my gosh. Well guys, on that note, since I'm making that sanded ball hook the whole lane, I think there's not much else I can show you on this. So again, I'll thank my sponsors a second time. Hammer Bowling, I Am Bowling, and Vice Sensors. Thank you again one more time. Again, don't be afraid to leave a comment. Honestly though, really excited about these new releases from Hammer. I think for what they offered, they definitely finally got something that's a little more in the middle, and definitely got something for a little bit drier. And of course this Hazmat, whew, this thing's got some teeth. So, all right guys, thank you again. Until the next one, have a good one. Talk to you later.